Hi, guys. I'm your host, Kelsi. I'm joined by my sometimes co-host, Paul. He'll be here every now and then talking AEW. And of course, if you were with us Monday night, we also reviewed WWE Raw, and that was a lot of fun. Paul was there for that, too. And we're going to
I wouldn't say Raw was fun, but...
No. The post-show was fun. But we're going to be talking AEW tonight. And I think one of the biggest differences from the other show we watched this week was that this show opened with a bang with a nice long match. And that was really quite a nice difference from the other show we watched, in which it was 75% talking. So I kind of like that, changing things up, getting a nice match to start off the show.
I thought it was very smart of AEW to put a pretty loaded card, stack it with the Young Bucks right off the top, because obviously NXT has had the better of them the last couple weeks. So get a really good show together and start. You can't start any better than with the Young Bucks and Proud and Powerful and Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes involved. That's a great way to start the show, and it was a good match.
It was a good match, great way to start off. And man, Dustin in his Young Bucks themed gear, tassels and all, I think that was a nice little touch. Really going all out, gelling with the team 100%. Commitment.
Yes.
So absolutely. I like that a lot. Thank you guys tuning in right now, Elijah and Dave Pizeski. We appreciate you tuning in, and we appreciate everyone who's tuning in right now. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, what you thought of the show. Was it a thumbs up, thumbs down, and just okay, thumbs sideways? I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. I guess just okay. I don't know the other symbol for it. But I actually thought it was a really decent show. I would give it an A-.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, my only complaint is they actually packed too much into the show. And so the Janela Moxley match at the end, the ending seemed very rushed. Like Janela was kind of dominating, and then all of a sudden Moxley turns the tables and the match is over.
Yeah.
They should have done one less match in the show, and I think it would have been fine. I think, because I even said to you, there was I think it was 8:30 our time, and the Chris Daniels match hadn't even started. I'm like, they're going to cram these two good matches into a half hour. And they did, barely.
I don't know. Is that a better problem to have, fitting too many matches in versus not hardly having any matches at all?
I agree
Which is the
that.
better problem? No, I'm really asking you. What do you think's better?
Well, I mean, I mean, it's better than lots of talk like we were talking about in Raw. But at the same time, you don't want to shortchange your main event. I mean, that's the problem to me, is you don't want to shortchange the promoted main event that you've been building to all night.
And, you know, I kind of went to the end, I kind of gave it a higher grade, but I'm remembering now, Dave is pointing it out, maybe they should deserve a B+ because of that audio. That is unacceptable on network TV.
Oh, yeah.
But I heard some people tweet that it wasn't like that in Canada for some people watching.
Yeah, it must
which
be
I find
surprising or something.
I guess. But yeah, it is literally, you can't have that. It's terrible. You just absurd.
No, it was, I mean, it was killing me because I'd turn up the audio because it was so low. And then, of course, it was very reminiscent of some of the Ring of Honor shows that we've made fun of their audio. But inexcusable for a TNT broadcast to have audio like that.
I mean, yeah, Ring of Honor's a stream.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like a broadcast. And you just can't have a product going out like that, especially when you're going head-to-head with the other big wrestling show, who hardly ever has production quality problems.
Right.
So, they've got to fix it, because this isn't the first time. If it was the first time, I might give them some slack. This is like the third or fourth time. And I'm talking about the third or fourth time in reference to mics. It's not the first time that the music's been low. The music's been low since like their debut episode. It's been a very weird way of mixing their theme music. Mm-hmm. It just does not sound loud. Now, I like the crowd sounding loud, but you really got to have a good balance, because at home, I think what adds to the aura of watching is that theme music. You want to hear it loud and good and clear.
Yeah. Now, I mean, that would be one of the negatives. Like I said, rushing the main event. Match quality was pretty good. I would say a B or B+ for the show. I would say, much better than I think last week or 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago, where the show wasn't very good at all.
No, the Thanksgiving episode. I mean, the Scorpio Sky Chris Jericho match was good on that episode. That was last week.
Okay,
is that the one you're talking about?
2 weeks ago, maybe.
You didn't like that one, and I did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, but tonight, I mean, look, I love Trent. Ray Fenix. I think that's great. Christopher Daniels versus Pentagon Jr. I mean, those are people I really like watching.
I know, but I mean, the Pentagon match with Christopher Daniels could have been longer.
It could have.
Like you said, they kind of rushed that in along with the Moxley match, and we'll get there. We'll break that down a little further when we go through the show. But want to rewind to the beginning and go through that?
Absolutely. Thanks everybody who's tuning in, and even somebody who's accusing us of being marks, which is so far from the truth.
I know we're pretty fair with our with our analysis of different brands.
Yeah, I didn't give it an A+. I didn't give it 6 stars, so I'm not sure how we're marks, but okay.
Whatever.
I like controversy.
There's critics.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
That's fine. So the first match, like we said, it was a really great opening match. The Bucks and Dustin versus Proud and Powerful and Sammy Guevara. And I think this was a great showing for Sammy. I mean, that 650 was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, that's Sammy, we've talked about.
I mean, 630.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We talked about it. So
450,
good.
630 mix.
In PWG, and we haven't seen a ton of it so far in AEW, and at least he got a little bit of that tonight. I'm still waiting for the big Sammy Guevara match, though. The
one-on-one, really
one-on-one,
long,
crazy, really good match.
Really PWG-like match. He's not going to have an opponent like Walter to chop his chest in. So I don't know if we'll have that type of a Sammy match in AEW, but we could still have a longer singles Sammy match in the future. And it's still early. There's a lot of guys who need more TV time. Sammy's getting a lot of it, so he's actually on the positive end for the AEW roster. There's some people who don't get to shine, and I'll kind of fast forward through to the middle part of the show. You made a reference. Jimmy Havoc's only appearance on AEW tonight is when they showed a video recap of Nyla Rose beating up somebody, and Jimmy Havoc's lurking in the background while Nyla Rose is doing her beatdown. So to me, it's like, man, that's the only time you see Jimmy? Not cool.
Yeah.
He's really not. I mean, Sammy's way ahead of where Jimmy's at right now.
Well, and again, it's that balance because you've got TV, but you've also got AEW Dark, but not everybody's going to go to AEW Dark. So, you if you're TNT, you want to see all the stars on there. So, so Dark is really going to be a lot of the times where Jimmy Havoc ends up living.
I mean, they're not going to let him be Jimmy Havoc on AEW Dynamite, probably. No. He's known for doing light tube stuff, and I just can't see them. Yeah, they're PG-13, but are they going to go that hardcore? I don't think so. Like, there's a big difference between Moxley hardcore, Janela hardcore, to Jimmy Havoc hardcore. It's a little bit of a difference there. So, a little hard to compare. I just don't see Jimmy shining the way the others do.
Well, welcome in everybody else who's joined us. Ben, good to see you back with us again. And Dave Pazewski, of course. Great support as always. And Elijah Turner. Elijah's thought cut off there on the Janela Moxley match, but we'll get back to that.
So at the beginning, like we were saying, I thought there was some really great sequences. Man, Santana just flipping to the outside, landing directly on his back. I was like, ouch, that looks like it hurts. Of course, Sammy goes for a shooting star at one point, and the Bucks super kick him out of the air. I like that a lot. Classic Bucks. And Sammy looked really good, like I said. I think this was one of his better matches on TV, at least in my opinion. Overall, really effective match. However, Sammy's the one who took the pin, actually.
Well, and remember,
and it's because they're trying to keep Proud and Powerful strong.
Well, I remember Sammy tried to do his vlogging thing, and that's when he got caught by the Bucks.
That's when he did the shooting star. Yeah, right. With his phone in his hand, which is actually pretty impressive because I'm surprised it didn't break into a billion pieces. Because if it were me, I would have just dropped it on the ground.
Yeah,
I have dropped my phone on the ground without doing a shooting star. Yeah. So there you go.
We both got cracked screens to prove it.
That says it all right there. So again, effective match. Bucks and Dustin getting the win. No surprise there. Feel good start to the show. Then we move on. Another good long match. Trent versus Fenix. And what I want to talk about is Trent and how Trent is looked at in the company. So after Full Gear, there was the post-show media scrum in which Tony Khan was talking to the media, and he talked about a lot of various topics, but I think one of the most interesting things that he kind of just said, and he said it almost like on his own accord, he was asked vaguely about Trent, but he went into a lot more detail than the question warranted. He said, like, Trent is somebody I'm super passionate about. I really believe in him, like, to the extreme. I see a lot of potential and talent in Trent, and I'm so happy we have him on our roster. And that was right after he had his first singles match not long before Full Gear. And so we're seeing another singles match with Trent. So although he's wrestling with best friends in a tag team, it's really nice to see him to get to shine in these singles matches like the one tonight against Fenix. And I will say, this is a pleasant surprise because if you guys are New Japan Pro Wrestling fans, Trent was a part of the tag division there with Rocky Romero, and they were a wonderful tag team. But then they disbanded, and the whole reasoning behind them dissolving their tag team was that Trent was going to go up to the heavyweight division and wrestles as a singles wrestler, which honestly only happened like once after that. After Roppongi Vice dissolved, it like Trent barely wrestled as a singles.
And then he was with Chuck.
Exactly.
Like almost immediately.
So like what was the point of that? They were like pushing him. We thought we were going to get like a singles push for Trent finally. But I'm seeing now that combined with what I'm seeing on screen to what Tony Khan said together, it's obvious that they have a lot of faith in Trent, and he could be a singles upper mid-card guy, maybe even top guy for AEW in the future.
Yeah, it depends on if you want to break up best friends and have that singles push, or if Orange Cassidy would take his place in the best friends.
Why not? Him and Chuck can wrestle together.
Yeah, but I just like Trent and Chuck better together.
Well, I do too. I mean,
I don't know.
They've got a crazy amount of chemistry together, of course, but I just think Trent could do so well as a singles guy. Why not utilize him that way?
Yeah, no, I agree.
But again, AEW's kind of their strong suit is tag team wrestling. So Best Friends is a really good tag team that you might not want to lose right now. That's why I think it's good that they're kind of using him both ways. He's a very versatile guy for their roster right now. The match was awesome. I mean, so many good spots. Of course, we had Fenix running the ropes again, kicking Trent. What did you like from the match?
I like the end, obviously, because I like when Fenix does that springboard and he does the reverse kick and then goes into his finisher. I like that. I mean, look, I love everything Fenix does on the ropes. He's so explosive. He's so awesome. He really is fun to watch.
He really is. And I think it's funny. I think this was a funny comment by JR. He said he goes up there and he means to the top rope so much that it's almost predictable. So it was kind of a funny statement, but true. I mean, he does go up to the top a lot.
He also followed it up by saying if he's on the mat, not on the mat, look up because he's probably up there.
I thought that was a good little follow-up too. So taken by itself, it might have sounded like an insult.
No.
But with that follow-up, it sounded like good. Like if he's not on the mat, he's up in the air.
Let's get to a couple comments. Joe Zerfla says he's totally behind a big Trent push. He likes Cassidy stepping in while he does his singles work. Ben asked, even though this is an AEW show, did we watch NXT? We will always do an AEW, or you will specifically, an AEW live post show, and then we'll watch NXT as soon as we're done. So
no, we have not watched NXT yet. We are planning on watching it after we do this review because it's kind of hard. Like, I wouldn't feel right reviewing AEW if I was watching two shows at once because I would feel like my attention was split. I mean, heck, if I'm tweeting while watching wrestling, which I was doing, sometimes I don't catch everything even doing that. So how could I possibly watch two shows at once and catch everything and be able to really review either show fairly? So I would love to watch them both. And I would actually love to review both at once, but then our review would be way later.
Right.
So it's kind of hard since they're at the same time. It would be great if one was just 1 hour earlier. That way they kind of end just an hour apart. You can almost catch up. Watch the first hour, go back after AEW, watch the second hour, like not live. That would be perfect. But it's not like that.
No. And look, when we weren't doing a live review show, we kind of looked at what show we thought was most appealing, and we would watch that first and then watch the other one second. And now it'll always be AEW first. And no, we couldn't put NXT on the second screen anyways because the Celtics were on. So I was watching that on the second screen. Go ahead.
I will say something that is the same in AEW and NXT that I hate. And it's not their fault. They've got to do this. The commercial picture-in-picture. I cannot concentrate. It's another thing that's like, I can't concentrate watching two shows at once. I can't concentrate with the picture especially when the wrestling's like this big compared to the commercials like this big.
Yeah.
It's so difficult.
I'd almost rather they go back to the old way. I mean, I know why they don't, but just go to a flat out commercial and just recap what happened in the commercial, because it is too hard to see what is going on in that little bitty screen.
It really is. And it's important to note, another reason why we're doing the AEW review instead of the NXT review is because we're already reviewing a WWE type product on Monday night. So we're trying to be fair here, doing AEW product, WWE product, both reviews in a week. I think that's fair.
Dave, he wants to know, what do you think of the vignettes for the Dark Order?
I love the vignettes.
Yeah,
I think my friend Louie is in them. I think it's my friend Louie, but I don't know for sure. But I'm pretty sure that's my friend Louie, who's the one who's trying to join the Dark Order. And this episode, he got kicked in the face. And then he got like
pawed at
him. That was my only downside about video. It was kind of strange.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was meant to just be like this instead of like It was kind of like not menacing at all.
No.
But the rest of the video package was effective and really eerie. And I like this because, okay, I was behind the Dark Order from day one. And that is because, well, maybe I have the benefit of having the backstory. They were formerly known as the Super Smash Brothers. And they wrestled in all kinds of promotions, including they had a match not long before joining AEW. They had a match when the Bucks were still in Ring of Honor. And it was incredible, by the way. It was the first match that the Super Smash Brothers, now Dark Order, and the Young Bucks had in like years. And it was really cool because the Young Bucks did a lot of throwbacks to their old school matches. They did the back rake, which they hadn't done in a long time. So they were doing specific old Young Buck type stuff that they hadn't done in years in honor of facing Super Smash Brothers again. Great match. I couldn't recommend it enough. I think it's from 2018. In Ring of Honor, maybe.
Yep, and it was
not
in
2017,
it was
2018.
And it was in Canada. It was when they were doing their tour through like Toronto or whatever.
So right off the bat, like I was buying into Dark Order because of that, and because I've seen their past PWG matches, a lot of them, and they're awesome. So I knew that they could go in ring, but I also knew, to like play devil's advocate, that people were complaining because the gimmick just wasn't connecting with such a large audience and like a mainstream audience. And people were thinking it was silly and dumb. But what these vignettes do is help bridge that gap, I think. People by now, if they keep watching AEW TV and have been watching it consistently, then they've seen that Dark Order can go, but they still might not like the gimmick. These vignettes, like I said, bridge that gap and show that, man, this is kind of a cool story. Yeah, I don't like the minions, but I love the whole, like, it's almost like a cult type of group. Really neat. So I'm liking them, Dave, honestly. I think they're very eerie.
Well, and it's something AEW has needed to do. We've talked about that. If you're going to get mainstream people, and you've got to get people invested in these wrestlers. So, you know, that's why right off the bat tonight, too, having a Butcher, Blade, and Bunny promo, you know, get people to know them, too. So, that's one of the things with AEW is, you know, they're relying on the Jericho, Rhodes, Young Bucks to kind of carry things, but they've got to get people interested in some of these other people, because every show can't just be Moxley and Jericho and Omega.
And Cody.
Yeah, exactly.
Cody coming out with the angelic voices. I'm never going to get used to that. So before it was just Cody's song. Now every show, I thought it would maybe be only for the big shows, but even TV, he comes up like on a platform, like he's some like glorified guy or something. It's crazy. I'll never get used to it, but we saw that again. And of course he was talking to Tony Schiavone in the ring. That's the only person he'll talk to in the ring. The only one, it seems like. He's never in the ring with anybody else in terms of like an interview segment.
So just like the only person that can call a Young Bucks match is Rick Knox as referee.
That's pretty much a written rule by this point, yes. Because of their PWG history.
Joe Zerfla says he likes the vignettes. Definitely helps you out with getting to know who they are and what they're about.
I definitely agree. I think vignettes are really important in wrestling. And like you said, AEW had been kind of lax on vignettes, or even just like highlight videos of wrestlers, their careers. I thought they should have amped those up starting with the first episode of AEW Dynamite, but they never did. Now we're seeing some more mixed in every now and then, and I think that's necessary, and I praise them for finally doing that sometimes. So back to the Cody promo. I thought it was effective. You know, he talked about his scar. I like that, because you started talking about his scar before he referenced it.
His scar is that scar is unbelievable. That's like a hockey player who took a skate blade to the forehead. I mean, that is quite the scar.
It's crazy. And he says it's a reminder of his failure. So that was really a cool line to add in his promo, and really is obviously a visual reminder of
Right.
something.
And that was a failure in that match. I'm pretty sure he wasn't supposed to be busted open like that in that match.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a serious, crazy looking, like almost accident.
Yeah.
Very intense looking. But again, he's kind of saying that all the people close to him, they're all preoccupied. So he's kind of there on a mission. He needs to wrestle MJF. It has to happen. So he basically starts bribing MJF because, of course, MJF says he won't face Cody. So he starts offering the keys to his car. He offers his watch, his shoes, and finally cold hard cash in a big old briefcase. And he said, "Don't believe it's real." He took some money off the top and they gave it to a little kid in the audience who was wearing a tie.
Yeah.
I don't know if the kid needed money if he was all dressed up in a suit and tie, but no, I'm just kidding.
Of course, if we really wanted to believe it was real, he would have randomly pulled out a bill from the middle.
Not the top.
As opposed to all the bills on top. We know all the bills on top are real. Just randomly reach into the middle and pull out 100. Then we know they're all real.
So, and then he started talking about why MJF owes him a match besides just the bribery. He's trying to compel him, like verbally, why he should face Cody. But my favorite line of the whole promo was, "I knew you were a bad guy, but you are my bad guy." I think that was really effective.
Yeah,
it really shows how deep the hurt goes for Cody's character.
Yes.
Very effective. And so then he just walks out the ring, which I thought was odd. So like we get no answer, whatever. He walks away, walks out the ring, whatever. We continue on with the show. And again, I really like the kid getting the Cody cash. He says thank you to the camera. What a polite kid. You don't always get that. So then we see Joey Janela backstage. He has a good promo too, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed what he had to say. But of course, we're going to get to the main event. I feel like what he said and the main event didn't match up.
Right.
Like the feel of the main event when we actually got there didn't match the powerful words in this promo. Now, of course, when I read these words, they won't sound as almost crazy like when Janela said them. So he didn't say them all serious, like, "I'm a fighting guy, I'm going to get you." He was like kind of like wild and crazy. Only the way that Janela can deliver something like this. It wasn't just like a strict, "I'm going to get you" kind of promo. So he says, "I feel like I've been put on the back burner. Remember Fighter Fest, Mox? This time, though, is different. This time, you'll have to kill me." And then Moxley appears out of nowhere, and he just goes, "Kids." And then it's funny, you were like, they can't be far apart in age.
Yeah, well, I just thought, like, Moxley saying kids, I'm like, they got to be pretty close to the same in age, and they are. Janela's 30, and Moxley is 33.
So, yeah, 3 years apart. There's no way Janela's a kid compared to Mox.
No.
Maybe Mox feels like he's lived a billion years compared to Janela.
I don't know. Janela's put a lot of miles on his body.
That's true.
He is not your typical 30-year-old with the things he's done to his body.
Not just in the ring, but like drinking and stuff too, and
smoking
staying up. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Janela's probably
those are a hard 30 years.
They are. But I mean, Moxley's gone through the ringer too physically.
Well, yeah.
Especially in his past at like CZW and stuff. Like, man, you should have seen some of his old stuff. It's cringeworthy, brutal, like Jimmy Havoc level.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. So anyway, the promo's really good, but we'll get to the main event later. I just didn't think it added up later on. And again, we talked a little bit about the Dark Order package. That's where this came on in the show, was right after that Janela stuff. I thought it was very effective, and they needed something like this to keep getting their gimmick over as much as they can. Then we get our first women's match of the night, Nyla Rose versus Leva Bates. Kind of a quick squash match, but Nyla sure did look powerful, and it made up for being a quick match by Nyla beating down the ref after the ring, and the ref, of course, was Rick Knox. He got driven through a table.
And that's not really even the story of that whole segment.
No, there's a big, long story.
And so Nyla puts Knox through the table, and there is a cutaway of Britt Baker reacting in the crowd. And I immediately was like, that's got to be a dig at NXT showing her at the takeover. And you didn't even see it the first time, so we had to rewind it.
Yeah.
And neither of us picked up on the fact that Excalibur said, "Hey, it's Adam Cole's girlfriend, Britt Baker."
Yeah, he said that on commentary. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. And the only reason we even realized that is I was searching online, and WrestlingNews.co, who are doing this video for right now on their YouTube channel, they wrote an article about it, and they said, Excalibur said, "Oh, there's Adam Cole's girlfriend." I was like, he didn't say that, did he? And they had like a video clip underneath. I re-listened to it. I'm like, oh my God, he did say it. crazy.
Yeah. No.
Nice little dig there.
No, it was perfect. It was a fun little dig. I liked it. It was funny because, even her facial, her hands were in the same position, I think. All very similar. So
it was exactly the same.
So yeah, that was fun.
Framed perfectly. I really liked that a lot. Good directing.
Yes.
Or production planning. It was awesome either way. So again, like I said, Nyla drove Rick Knox and Shayna into the table. I never know how to pronounce.
I think it's Sheeta, right?
I never know how to pronounce her name. I'm terrible with name pronunciations. Then after that's over, like I said, that was quick, but the beatdown gave it a little more length.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a longer women's match later on in the show, so that was okay. Then we got Jericho insulting Champagne, says no one successful comes from there. But as we know, Tony Khan comes from there.
Which is the reason they were in Champagne in the first place.
Well, we didn't even know that, but your friend lives in Champagne, our friend Iddings.
Yeah, I asked him if he went to the show, and he, of course, had not. Even though he's a wrestling fan, he didn't go. But he said they've definitely been promoting it around town. There were billboards all around town. So it was kind of a big deal. But then at the same time, the crowd wasn't huge. Now, that's a big building. That's where the University of Illinois plays basketball. It's not, some of the venues that AEW has been going to are a little smaller in size. This is a bigger arena, so it would be a stretch to expect that it was going to be a sellout. But you definitely saw, obviously, the upper levels were kind of empty. But it was still a big event for Champagne.
It really was. And getting back to the actual promo, Jericho debuted the Lexicon of Le Champion, which basically was like a revamped The List of Jericho, essentially. And of course, on that lexicon was everyone who he refuses to face again. Kept naming a whole bunch of people. I'll read on my notes because
it was so funny.
I couldn't even write fast enough. There were so many good little tidbits he was reading off. But he said, the Young Bucks, Papa Buck, Uncle Buck. And since I love Uncle Buck with John Candy, I had to write that one down. He said, Evil Uno, Angry Dose. And he listed Moxley in between other people like a ton of times.
Yeah. He said Darby Allin, then he said Rick Allen, who's the drummer for Def Leppard.
Didn't he mention like Scorpion or somebody? He mentioned a band. I can't remember which band.
He said Scorpio Sky, members of the Scorpions.
Yes, exactly. So it was all really awesome. I mean, Jericho's like the best at promos.
He is.
Really, it's crazy. Like I was thinking after tonight's Dynamite, I was like, my God, who possibly right now could have a better career than Chris Jericho? What a legend.
Mm-hmm.
Redefined himself so many times. And speaking of redefining, I just released a Matt Hardy video. He's someone else who's redefined himself, and he's done it in such a successful way. Please check out that video. It's on this very YouTube channel you're watching right now. I was really impressed with the Free the Delete videos that Matt Hardy is releasing on his YouTube channel. It seems like he's trying to resurrect the broken character. Again, if you want to see that video on this YouTube channel, him and Chris Jericho, coincidentally, are very close. And so both really great at redefining. And so who comes down to interrupt Jericho's promo on AEW Dynamite but Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt. And Luchasaurus talked a lot, and it just seemed like out of character. I like him kind of like silent, brooding, and like fun.
I gotta be honest, that was the part of the show.
You fell asleep.
I was nodding off, and it wasn't because of AEW per se. I was just, I wanted a nap. And so that and the women's match that happened after, that's where Sheeta was. I was.
Yeah, that's not who I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, I was in and out on that.
Yeah, so okay. So like I said, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt comes out, and Luchasaurus doesn't challenge Jericho. Marco Stunt doesn't challenge Jericho. It's Jungle Boy. And Jericho's essentially laughing at him, insulting him. You're a piece of crap, essentially. You wouldn't last 10 minutes in the ring with me. And then Jungle Boy's like, I could last 10 minutes. And essentially, we get the setup for December 18th. They're going to face each other. And I'm thinking it's going to last longer than 10 minutes. I'm thinking that's what's going to end up happening.
And that's the last Dynamite of the year. So that's going to be
in Corpus Christi,
Texas. And then they'll take the week off for Christmas and come back for New Year's.
And then after that, that ends with Jericho throwing a tantrum, basically walking away. And I'm really excited for that match because Jungle Boy is actually really, really good. I know some of your friends have been very anti-Jungle Boy because of his size, but I really like him. If you can wrestle good and you've got an interesting character. And he really does have an interesting character when he's paired with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt. I really like that tandem together. It really helps him, I think, shine and stand apart. And it helps overcome, people might be dissuaded by his size. It helps him overcome that, being paired with those other guys. So then finally we get our longer women's match of the night, Chris Statlander versus Shida. And I thought this was really, really good. People are really behind Chris online. They really like her a lot. The match was awesome. And wait, isn't this when they showed Baker's face? No. It was during the beatdown. I just, for some reason, wrote it down here.
I was going to say, I know I was drifting in and out, but I'm pretty sure it was during the tables.
And again, I wrote down that there was a commercial during this match. Like, this is your longest women's match of the night. There's a big commercial during it, so I couldn't concentrate at all. But to be fair, there were commercials in the men's matches that followed, and that was really annoying and distracting as well. So I'm just like, man, it just feels like there was an extra lot of commercials, more so than usual, but it could just be my imagination, or it could just feel that way. So during the match, Statlander wins with a Big Bang Theory, defeats Shida, who was like, her win-loss record was really good. She was the #1 contender, and to beat her is a big deal. And I think that shows you that people are behind Chris, and it's a really great match result for her. Really puts her ahead, makes her look good. But then a really interesting thing happens, and I like it a lot because it reminds me of Star Trek, and I'll get into why. So Awesome Kong comes down with Brandy Rhodes, and they talk about what they're doing, why they're interrupting people's matches, why they're cutting off people's hair. They basically kind of semi-explain it by saying, we're the Nightmare Collective. We are part of the Nightmare family, but we do the things that no one else wants to. And so they basically tried to get Chris to pledge to the collective. And what reminds me of Star Trek is that it's called the Nightmare Collective. And if you guys know Cody Rhodes, you know that he likes Star Trek, and that is evidenced by his gear that he wore at All Out. They wore like Star Trek themed gear, specifically Star Trek Next Generation themed gear, to the ring. It was him, Brandy, and MJF all wearing that type of gear. They even had like a little insignia that's like the communicator badges from Star Trek, but it was in the shape of the Nightmare Family logo. So in Star Trek The Next Generation, there is the Borg, and they call it the Borg Collective. And of course, the Borg are like a group, but they're made up of individuals, but they're really just part of a single hive mind, a collective mind. So it kind of reminded me, Nightmare Collective, part of the Nightmare family, but doing the dirty work. Borg, part of the Borg Collective, the hive mind. Very similar to me, just the word collective especially. I mean, he likes Star Wars as well, Cody Rhodes, but we're not calling this, the Nightmare Alliance or the Rebel Alliance or anything. So I think it's kind of funny. I feel like that's not on accident. I feel like it's a little wink, wink, nod, nod to Star Trek The Next Generation, especially because it's an evil faction, it seems like, or an evil duo with Brandy and Awesome Kong, because the Borg, of course, in Star Trek is evil. So now that I'm done with that nerd talk, which you guys might enjoy or might not enjoy, I think that what they're doing half and half works. So they're trying to get Chris to pledge to the collective. She doesn't want to, but then their attention gets turned, and a member of the audience wants to pledge and essentially offers up her hair. They cut off a little bit of her hair, and then they cut off all her hair. I'm like, this is kind of weird. I don't know if it worked overall. I don't know what you guys think. Let us know what you thought about the collective. If it was cheesy, if you thought it works, if you think it's kind of cool. I don't know. I'm a little torn about it because it almost borderlines corny. But if they go, full force with it and they really are dedicated to it, maybe it'll come off even better in the future. I don't know. I didn't like the hair cutting off thing because it was obviously a plan. That's not just a fan. So that was a little cheesy for my taste.
Joe Zerfla says he really liked both of these women. Sheeta is going to be a big star, and so is Statlander. Says he's been a big fan of the women's division so far with AEW. Meanwhile, Davor Hodis says he loves the nerd talk.
Yay, good. I love Star Trek, so I'll use any excuse. Even if this has nothing to do with Star Trek TNG, I'm going to say it does because it reminds me a lot of it, and I'll take any excuse used to talk about it, especially with Picard around the corner. So after we have all that Brandy, awesome Kong stuff, we get back to in-ring action with the match that you and I referred to at the beginning of this review, the match with Pentagon Jr. versus Christopher Daniels. And of course, Pentagon Jr. ends up victorious after a low blow that the ref doesn't see. And I think that's even more effective when right before that happens, Christopher Daniels picks up a mic stand, is tempted to use it, but tosses it aside, decides not to. That's when he gets hit with that low blow. So there was a lot more in that match, but it could have been even longer. It could have had so much more had it had the time.
Well, and maybe that's one that could be built up towards the next pay-per-view because they've already built some history in between the two of them. The thing that was kind of scary, couldn't tell if it was on purpose, was when Christopher Daniels tried to do that springboard off the top rope and just kind of fell to the ground. Yeah. At first, I thought it was a mess up. Then I wasn't sure if it was a planned mess up so the Pentagon could turn the corner in the match. I don't know what you guys thought on that move, but at first, I was like, ooh, bad botch. And then I was like, well, maybe it was an intentional botch.
We rewound it, and it didn't look as accidental as it did the first time when we watched it quickly. So I really couldn't tell on that. I really liked the reaction that Christopher Daniels got in this match. There were chants for Fallen Angel, and of course, that's what he was known as formerly a long time ago when he wrestled as a singles guy. I mean, even back into the TNA days, he was called that. And it just seemed like the crowd really loves him. Of course, Pentagon Jr.'s over too, though, because they love him as well.
Pentagon.
Of course. but I really want to see Christopher Daniels get a good singles run in this company. And I mentioned earlier that Tony Khan did a post-show media scrum after Full Gear. Well, so did SCU, including Christopher Daniels. And that was when he ran in dressed as Pentagon. And that's when this started, this kind of tension between them and the storyline between them started. And
it started, back
even
on the
before,
first episode.
Yes.
But this is where it got full form. Yeah.
Yes. So in that media scrum, Christopher Daniels was asked, like, are you going to do the Freebird rule with Scorpio Sky and Kaz's titles? Like, is it going to be the three of you just doing matches together too randomly whenever you want? And he's like, no, these guys have their titles. I'm proud of them. I'm going to go after, my own singles matches. And I mean, there's really no mid-card title right now, but eventually he said he wants a singles title. So whether it be the main championship or like a mid-card title, I don't care. I'd love to see that, because if you guys are old school Ring of Honor fans, it's really not that far in the past. One of my favorite things ever, Christopher Daniels versus Adam Cole. Christopher Daniels finally winning the Ring of Honor championship. Really powerful stuff. Everyone knows that SCU can be funny, including Christopher Daniels. He's done some great funny spoofs of Rocky with the other two guys on Being the Elite. But what people forget is that Christopher Daniels is really, really good at being serious. And he has one of the best promos ever, in my opinion. It's definitely one of my top 5 promos of all time, where he talks about how much he needs the Ring of Honor championship, and he talks about why he must win against Adam Cole at all costs. And he talks about his health issues, and he cries in the promo. So when Christopher Daniels gets the opportunity to really talk about what a match means to him, he really shines. So maybe in the future we could see that if he continues wrestling as a singles guy.
Maybe. Ben, thanks for joining us. We're glad you had a little time, and appreciate the nice words. Continue on.
I thought you had something big to say.
No, just reading the comments.
Okay, so again, like I said, Pentagon Jr. won, heel tactics. That's fine. It kind of protects both of them. So I think that was a good decision. I just wanted to see a longer match overall. And before we go to the main event, I do want to say they announced that the Bucks will face Proud and Powerful in a Texas street fight match. That should be epic.
That'll be great. That's in Garland, Texas next week on Dynamite. And yeah, that'll be a fantastic match.
And of course, I'm happy about this because I still haven't seen a Bucks Proud and Powerful match that has lived up to the first match I've seen them have on the Chris Jericho cruise, which was not televised, obviously. It was before AEW was even a thing that existed. So I saw that initial match that very few people saw, and it was amazing. And yeah, their match at Full Gear was good, but it wasn't to the level of that cruise match. And I'm still waiting for that match to finally occur. Now, I know they're going to have lots of interactions. That's what comes from being on the same roster. They're going to have lots of time to have good matches. But I just want to see a barn burner. I don't know. I want to see a really great, long, powerful, intense, crazy match between the two of them. I hope that the Texas Street Fight match isn't too funny.
No, I think
no,
I think it's going to be a gimmick. Lots of.
I want to see it violent, not funny, because they've done like funny, over the top selling before with each other. That was one of my criticisms of their AEW Full Gear match.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, it'll be a good match in Garland, Texas.
And again, we did have the Butcher, Blade, and the Bunny package, which you referenced earlier. That came right before the main event. And I thought there were some good quotes in that. They say, "We're sick of seeing your face everywhere." And of course, they're referencing Cody Rhodes. How we know they're referencing him is that there was superimposed pictures of his face while they were talking. "We're in your house to cause destruction, and we're here to cut the head off the snake." I thought that was a powerful statement. I like it. Want to see what they're going to do. I think the way they debuted was kind of a hindrance to them. People didn't know who they were.
Right.
But this package helps, and they needed that because people were very confused last week. They didn't know who they were, and they didn't get a good reaction at all. All right, so now finally, the main event time.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said earlier, Janela had that great promo saying we fought before, but this time you're going to have to kill me to win. The funny thing is, that match they had before at Fyter Fest was so much more than this.
Yeah.
So much more. It was longer. It was more brutal. Yes, there was some outside, I guess you could say, weapons involved because there was a table, but it just wasn't anything like Fyter Fest. So to even compare it to that in the promo, and it barely got any time, it just was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, look, obviously, like we said with Jimmy Havoc, you're not going to have the brutal matches that you have on pay-per-view, but yeah, this other than the one really high-flying spot didn't have as much as that Fyter Fest for sure.
And you could tell that near the end, it was like they were quickly told, wrap it up, hurry, we're running out of time. We still got to get Jericho to come down through the audience, which, that's how the show ended. He came in basically mocking Moxley's entrance, how he comes down through the audience. And then he held up the title like, yeah, we're going to face each other eventually. So that was kind of neat. But back to the match with Janela, like just when it felt like it was getting going, that's when they were like, okay, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's have Mox win here.
Yeah.
So he won with 2 paradigm shifts.
Yeah, I mean, early on, I like the Moxley lariat of Janela, where Janela flips and lands on his face on the ramp. The swinging DDT from Janela onto Moxley onto the ramp, I thought was really good. So there were some good outside spots, and then of course there was the one outside spot where they had the terrible camera angle where Janela came over the top through the table.
You couldn't see what he did.
No, and we never got a replay. So yeah, that move was lost.
All you saw was the impact, which was cool. And you did hear everyone saying, holy, so you knew it was good, but I just couldn't really tell what happened.
Do you like the ramp up to the ring?
I don't know. Sometimes
that's a big,
I do.
That was a big thing in Impact. Like Impact has done that when we were watching that more regularly at their pay-per-views. Because I remember somebody getting thrown down off the ramp into the crowd.
Yeah.
In some match. I want to say it was
remember when we thought that Santana was hurt?
Yeah. That
was near the ramp. I don't think it was off the ramp.
But no, the one I'm thinking of was Moose and Austin Aries, where Moose blasted Austin Aries off the ramp into the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how the hell I remember that.
I don't know either, because you don't remember a lot of stuff.
But yeah, so long story short, Impact is big on having that ramp go all the way to the ring. I kind of like it because it's different, but then it also limits you. You don't have the whole outside of the ring to use, for stuff. So
part of me likes it because I kind of like how it visually looks, how it just connects.
Yeah.
I don't know, that for some reason, like that's kind of visually appealing, but sometimes, like you said, it hinders what's going on. And when they get dropped on there, I mean, I guess that's effective looking. It looks like it hurts.
Yeah.
When they get dropped right outside of the ring, right onto the ramp, like it's right there. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it, to be honest.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed, our dog just walked over here and then walked back, and I think he crop dusted us. I think
Did not
I
notice.
think he walked over here, farted, and walked back away.
He is a troublemaker, so I wouldn't.
I don't know. It stinks over here all of a sudden. So unless it's you, it's him.
It's definitely not me.
No. Jackson, did you fart over here?
You were really out of it and tired. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the show.
We want people to see what's going on. All they're seeing is this little area. They don't know that our dog is wreaking havoc on our show. And
he's over there on the floor right now.
Now he's on the floor. He's done his damage. And he's back to laying down.
I think he's mad at us because he wants attention, and we just keep ignoring him to podcasts all the time. No, he gets love all the time.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the show overall. At first, I graded it a little higher, but then I remembered the audio problems. For some reason, near the end of the show, I totally forgot about them. So yeah, B+ with the audio, because to me, you can't have that. It really ruins part of the show. It doesn't seem professional at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say a B. I thought the match quality was pretty good. The audio thing turned me off, and the rushing the ending kind of bothered me because it really shortchanged what could have been a really good Janela Moxley match. Otherwise, I thought it was a good show, and like I said, smart of AEW to stack the show the way they did since they had lost a couple weeks.
I think one of the best matches of the night was that opening match. Yeah. That probably was the match of the night, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So you start off hot, but then you end kind of cold. But I think the Jericho run-in kind of saved it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because everyone loves Jericho. He's kind of money no matter what he does, so...
I agree. So we'll talk about this. We'll talk about the NXT since we're gonna go watch that now on our podcast on Friday.
We're taping that tomorrow night.
Yep.
It's gonna drop on Friday, and it'll be on this YouTube channel, the video version. But if you want to check out the audio versions, just search for Two Face Wrestling Talk on iTunes, or an easy way to do it. You can either go to one of two websites. You go to superkickingit.com, that's spelled with a G, or to go to twofacedpod.com, TWOFACEDPOD, and it's got little links where you could find the podcast and subscribe whatever audio feed you like. But why not just watch it on the YouTube channel you're watching right now?
Yep.
And again, we're going to talk about all the wrestling this week. The only thing we won't talk about is SmackDown because we won't have seen it yet at the time of recording.
Make sure you subscribe to Wrestling News Co., the YouTube channel you're watching us on right now. Make sure you follow them on wrestlingnews.co.
Yes, their website where they post a lot of articles, and their Twitter too, at Wrestling News Co. But also, another thing we're talking about on our podcast that I kind of want to promote, match from 2009 in PWG with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Chuck Taylor. It's really good.
Well, and the basis of why we're going to talk about this match is Kelsi talked to Excalibur at StarCast, and she asked him his favorite match that he called in PWG. And we were surprised that this was the answer because there were so many we could have named off.
Yeah.
So we went back and watched it, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and play some Excalibur's interview on our podcast, Two Face Wrestling Talk, which drops on Friday morning.
And, since AEW is so well known for tag teams, look out in the future because we will be talking our favorite tag teams soon. We're going to make a list of our favorite and compare them on our podcast in the next few weeks.
Yep.
Probably before the end of the year, I'd say. Maybe right after the first
possibly,
of the year.
especially with no AEW Dynamite that 1 week. It could be just a special show. We'll see. And
we'll have to talk about our favorite matches of the year as well, besides just our favorite tag teams, because we have a whole running list of favorite matches, and that's, of course, not just in AEW, but all promotions. So please check out our podcast. We put a lot of work and research into it, just like we do these reviews. We appreciate you guys taking the time to watch us and discuss with us. Thanks so much. But until next time, which you can catch our next review, our live review, next Monday.
For Raw.
For Raw.
And next Wednesday for AEW.
Yep. Catch us then. And thanks so much. Please like and subscribe and share. Bye.